My brothers and sisters and my beloved confreres, a very hearty welcome to each one of you to the fourth Sunday of Lent. Today we are encountering one of the most familial parables presented by Jesus, the parable of the prodigal son. But the interesting aspect of this parable is that this parable is found only in the Gospel of Luke. It is one of the most popular parables. Not only that, it is just like a household event. There are three prominent characters in this parable. The father, who in fact is representing God the Father, the compassionate father who has every dimension of love towards his children. It is also about the story of the second son, who is in fact projected as the prodigal son, and he is representing the sinners, the tax collectors, and the prostitutes who are eager to return to the Father's house. The parable also equally emphasizes the role of the elder son, who represents the Pharisees and the Sadducees, who are so stern and stubborn with their attitudes regarding the laws and traditions. As we have a very familial experience through this parable, let us try to understand the nuances of this parable of the prodigal son. Although it may not be correct to call him a prodigal son because he stands instead of us. Luke the evangelist brings home to us a fundamental aspect of our relationship. I would rather name it as the prodigality of relationship. Although the parable begins with the statement, a man had two sons. Suddenly, the whole focus is turned on to the second son who goes away from his father. The son comes and tells the father, "Father, give me the share of the property that is mine." In fact, the Greek word that is used is ousis, which means the essence. He is in fact asking a distancing of his own essence from the family, from the father and from his brother and from all those who are part of that familial situation. He wants a share so that he can go away from there. This in fact is projected as an attitude of the modern times. We never care, or we rarely care for a sense of relationship. The ousis, that is the integrating aspect of familiar relationship, is not considered in the context of the property that you possess, the money that your family has, but above all, the intensity of the relationship that you are holding between each other. When that is lost, a family is destroyed. And that is precisely the reason why this demand of the son was so shocking for the father. But the gospel says beautifully, the father was willing to give his share. The Greek word used there is bios, that is life itself. Bios is the share of the life of the father is being distributed to the son. Although, as we read in the book of wisdom, the property of the father is never divided before the death of the father, here in this context, it shows the father's attitude of freedom. When the children demand certain things for themselves, the father does not stand on their way, because he knows he has taught them sufficiently and enough of all that is necessary for their life: values, integrity, credibility, and a sense of purpose. In spite of that, if the son goes away, he is misusing his freedom. This is exactly what God does with humanity. God respects your freedom. Therefore, He shares His bios, His life possession with you so that you may trade with it in the right way in order to gain the Father, or in the wrong way so that you may lose everything that is given to you. Now the son who has received the bios, the property, the share of his father, is going to a distant place. He's enjoying his freedom. The distance that is being mentioned here need not be of a physical distance. It could be understood as the distance that he has created between his father, his brother, and his family. How many of us, although we stay nearby, distance ourselves from relationship with our own dear ones? Think of our own community life. We live under the same roof. In spite of that, how many times we feel that we are miles and miles away from each other, when the minds are not coherent with each other. The miles of distances come on our way. Yes, my brothers and sisters, the distance that was taken by the prodigal son need not be a distance of physical aspect. It can be a mental distance that he created, a boundary that he created between him and his family. Now he's gone away to a distant place, and there he squanders all that was given to him. The word used here is zoe, which means even the divine relationship that was granted to him is destroyed by him. He has lost a sense of relationship. He has lost the property which is physical and material. He has also lost the relationship with God. It is there that the parable comes in with that statement. He is now in a place where the famine began. Is this famine merely material? When you feel dry within yourself, even if you are provided with the best of food, you would experience a sense of famine inside yourself. Sit at a table of meal where sumptuously you are provided with various items of food, you would still feel dry within yourself. And this exactly is the famine experience of this young man. He is feeling dry, and whole surrounding around him is looking dry. He goes to a foreigner there and asks him for some help, who sends him into the piggery. This son who has come away from his father's house is a Jew. Pig is an animal that is forbidden for the Jews. And therefore, a Jew being sent into a piggery is nothing more than being in a totally defiled situation. There he even quarrels with the pigs in order to have some food. But the pigs are aware of their rights. They do not even give him what he was in need. My brothers and sisters, let us return to ourselves is the welcome message of the gospel. The prodigal son, as he was in the piggery, came to himself and to his senses. That means he realized the need to return. In the most treacherous situation of his life, he wants the nearness of the Father, the essence of that relationship he wants to redeem again. Therefore, he creates a prayer for himself. My Father, I am not worthy of the heavens, nor of you. I am not even worthy to be called as a hired servant of yours, but make me one among your servants. Although he realizes he does not have any right to claim the presence of his father, he in fact is willing to stoop himself down to that extent of being merely a hired servant. Think of that loss of magnanimity that this man is experiencing in his life. He returns home. There we see a wonderful picture of the father sitting there, waiting eagerly for the son's arrival. What we are seeing here is not a closed door, but an open heart that is awaiting day and night to welcome the son. He knew I have formed him. I have reared him up. I have given him values. Therefore, my son who is gone away from me will return to me. And that happens. He sees from distance his son coming back. Such an old man has such a wonderful eyesight. Even the shadow of the sun is enough for him to understand, this is my son. And that is the open love of that father, who normally is called by all of us as the prodigal father. He goes to him, embraces him, welcomes him home, and accepts him as his son, putting on him the greatest and the best garment, and giving him a celebration by killing the fattened calf. Remember, not the fat calf, fattened calf. The father had already kept ready for the son something that is to be celebrated. The son of mine was dead. He has come back to life. Relationship is redeemed. Let's closely look at the attitude of the eldest son as well. He comes back and he says, this son of yours. And the father responds saying, he is your brother. He says, I was working like a servant for you. And the father says, you are my son. All what is mine is yours. You are my son. He is your brother. Let us celebrate and make a relationship lively again. Yes, my brothers and sisters, is not this Lenten season a time for us to redeem lost relationships? To think of the prodigality of our lifestyle and to understand the need to return to God? Let us be aware of the prodigal relationship of the Father and merit it through our commitment to it. Amen.